ready to rock and roll. Hello, everyone in the world. And I see the world because we are very honored and privileged to have a guest from Australia. Her name is Nicole. How do you say your last name, Nicole?
Nicole Yeates.
Nicole Yeates.
That's right.
Nicole Yeates. Okay, so Nicole Yeates has joined us, and Judy has really been doing so much work with Nicole to set this up. So I really want to thank both of you so much for really going out of your way to set this up. So thank you so much, both of you.
Oh, it was our pleasure.
Yes. So Judy, give us, I know you did your research and you did a big rundown on Nicole. Give us a little story of why it was so prevalent for you to invite Nicole on the show. Like what drove you to that? Because you were like, oh my God, you were so excited about it.
Well, I noticed her on Facebook and I read about her book, Holding On to Hope. And I was very interested, so I tried to find out more, and I found out that she had a motorcycle accident at age 16, and she had a traumatic brain injury, and they thought that if she did survive, she would be a vegetable.
Wow.
And she fought back, and she's here, and she's an author of a book. She's fantastic, and it's my pleasure to bring her to you. To all of you, all over the world.
We're hitting the world right now. This is so incredible that you're like, how many hours away? 14 hours away?
Oh, I think it's more.
Right? I think the time difference is 14 hours though.
The time difference is 14
right?
hours.
So it's more than halfway around the world. That's my point. Right?
It takes literally about 24 hours to fly there.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't even imagine. I can't even like comprehend getting on a plane for 24 hours. You know?
Do they do that nonstop? Do they do that nonstop?
No, that's with a stopover.
They have to.
Yeah.
So they have to refuel along the way. It's so far.
So tell us a little bit about Australia. I mean, it really, everybody hears of the beauty of it and that it's such an extravagant, really remarkable trip to go on. Tell us a little bit about Australia before we get into your story.
Oh yeah, well, Australia has the most beautiful beaches. We've got so much contrast to our country. We have, beautiful rainforests and we have desert. It really is a country of extremes. There's a strong surfing culture here. We love barbecues and very outdoorsy kind of country.
What about the koala bears?
Oh yes, the koala bears and the kangaroos. I mean, you see them in sort of not so much the city, but more in the regional areas. You can have them hopping in your backyard. You can see them in the trees.
I just can't imagine
the trees. Yeah,
it's like we have squirrels. We have squirrels. Yes. You got koala bears and kangaroos. Yes. That's funny. That's funny. So Nicole, where were you when you had your motorcycle accident? How did that happen?
So I was living in New Zealand. I was born in Australia, in Newcastle, Australia, and moved to New Zealand when I was 2 years old with my mother and father. And Dad got a job over there as a deer culler. Back then it was seen as, sort of big money government was paying because the deer were a pest back then. Now they farm them for food and.
That means you have deer too.
No. Well, we did. Yes, I mean we do. So we do have deer in New Zealand and Australia. Yes. But so I was 16 years old when I had my motorcycle accident. I got my first tax return at age 16 because I've been working from a young age part-time. But it wasn't quite enough to buy a car, so I bought a motorbike, much to my mother's horror.
Can you drive at 16 in Australia or New Zealand?
Well, back then we're going back 33 years. Back then in New Zealand, you were able to get your license at 15 years of age, which is crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Now
It is.
they've brought it in line with Australia, which is 18.
Yeah, that's a little more, because even 18, now that I'm 58, but just looking back at what I was at 18 years old, I was young. We were young. So 15 has got to be, oh my God, it's got to be crazy. It's crazy.
Yes, yes. I mean, considering, you know, at that age, you know, your brain's still growing, you know, there's so much going on. But anyway, that's what it was. I was allowed to do it, so I did.
Right, right. So you bought a motorcycle, and where were you going?
I was going to a basketball game with my girlfriends. A girlfriend and I were playing basketball that night, and some other friends were coming to watch. So I had an argument with my mum because she didn't want me to take the motorcycle out that night. She had a feeling that something really bad was going to happen. And she'd had that feeling all week, and she kept sort of referring to it. But this night it was really strong. It was a dark and rainy night. She didn't want me to take the bike out. I just stomped my feet and said, I'm 16 and I'll do what I want. And off I went. Basically, as I approached a roundabout to go through the roundabout, my lights went out on my motorbike for no reason. So I couldn't stop there. So my plan was to get to the other side of the roundabout and pull over and try and figure out what was going wrong. But I never got to the other side because I was hit by a car. He didn't see me, and it wasn't his fault that he didn't see me, obviously, but he kept going. And he dragged me for about 200 meters. I got entangled in the motorbike got entangled on his bumper bar. So he dragged me for about 200 meters, dragged my bike for over 1,000 meters.
And I got a question to ask you before you continue. Like, what was going through your mind? Did you realize that you were being dragged? Like, were you in state of shock? I mean, what was that feeling like?
The last thing I remember is the lights going out. And then I remember when I died. So the gap in between that is completely blank. So yeah, I don't know.
It was a gift, right? You think it was a gift that you didn't have to suffer so much?
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. Yes, yes. I don't want to remember that part.
Like, you know, to be dragged and to just that fear, like, you know, it was a gift that you were blacked out and you,
Yes.
you know, when you died. Now, when was it that you felt that you died? When was it that you literally died? And who told you died? The doctors, or you just had an out-of-body experience?
No, this is before I got to the hospital. So look, there's a long line of minor miracles that happened along this journey. And I was just basically lying in the middle of the road, and a guy driving past thought I was a jacket in the middle of the road, and he's pulled over to pick it up.
Oh my gosh.
He happened to be a nurse from the local spinal unit, and because my arms were spasticized up like this, he knew it was either a spinal injury, a brain injury, or both. And so he had oxygen in his car. Can you believe it?
Oh, thank God.
Oh my gosh.
So he actually resuscitated me on the road. And I remember in that moment, I remember seeing a man on the side of the road who was my father, who died when I was 3. And that's all I remember. There was no conversation. There was no, I mean, I'm presuming that Mark, that's the guy who resuscitated me, that it was quick death experience, because I saw my father, and it was reassuring. It was that reassuring feeling I'm not alone.
Yeah, well, you just probably saw your father to know, for the knowing, God was like, okay, let me show you who's with you, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're not alone going through this.
That's right. So Mark resuscitated me, and he called the ambulance, and when the ambulance arrived, you know, he instructed them how to lift me into the ambulance properly, so that they didn't cause any more spinal damage. And then when I got to the hospital, I died another couple of times.
3 times, right?
Yeah. 3 times in total.
And once again, did you have the same experience that you had when you saw your father, that you knew you died, or did the hospital tell you that you passed on, where your heart stopped and all that? So what was the definitive confirmation?
Yeah, there were both. So basically, when I was rushed into hospital, you know, the emergency team were there, and they were, you know, they're really quick with their actions and everything, Mum tells me. And they went to CAT scan, you know, put me under the CAT scan, and that's where I died the second time. And that's where I had the most significant near-death experience. So I remember hearing the doctors say, "We've lost her, she's gone."
Wow. Wow.
And I remember thinking, "No, you bloody haven't."
Wow. Wow.
And
And what
then
does that feel like? Do you always refer to that? Do you always go back to that place to keep you in line, to always remember what it felt like and what your purpose is in life?
look, it's something that's really hard to explain, because I was told, I mean, I saw a yellow light and I saw a man at the yellow light. Now, I go into more detail about this in my book, but then there was this voice, of a spirit, the spirit voice, who said to me, "It's not your time yet. You've got more to teach." They were his exact words.
Wow.
And I don't remember there being any more conversation about that. But I know that the journey I'm on now with, you know, holding on to hope, finding the new after traumatic brain injury, the book, the app, you know, all of that I'm doing, or my occupational rehab work that I've been doing for the last 15 years, is all a part of that journey, and the reason I was put back here.
And just the power in the fact that that God has such power. They thought you were dead. They just wrote you off. And God said, "No, it's not her time yet.
Yeah.
She's got so much more to do." And, you know, and I don't know if you know this about me. I don't know if Judy shared this about me, but I also had an out-of-body experience.
Okay.
When I had my stroke, I was walking across the field from the third base to the first base dugout, and I remember saying to everyone, "I need help." My body rose up, and I saw the light, and I spoke to God. God spoke to me, and I said, "You know, I don't want you to take me. I got too much to do." And he said, "I don't want to take you. I just want you to remember, you always have to work for me." And I said, "Just put me back down in my body. Anything you want, that's what I'll do." But
Nicole, she had just had just given birth to her daughter 6 months before that.
Oh, goodness.
But the truth is that, and I don't, this is a question I have for you, is that our experience with God didn't make the journey back any easier, right? Like,
Yes.
what was your journey like getting to today? Because, you know, every day I grow deeper, and I become more aware of where I should be and what I should be doing. It took me 10, 15, and my stroke was 30 years ago. It was a major stroke. I couldn't walk or talk, but it took me that long to understand, to really peel. I talk about peeling away the onions, right? Peeling away the layers of the onions, because as much as I had work to do for God, I had to shed all those unneeded layers to get to that point. So tell us a little bit about, you know, from that moment that you had that conversation with, I guess do you believe it was God when you had your CAT scan that you were talking to?
Yes, that's who I identify with. Yes.
Okay. So tell us a little bit. It's like, okay, from that point, where did you go?
So I remained in a coma, a very deep coma. They actually thought I was brain dead at one stage, and had conversations with Mum about organ donation and turning off life support and all of that. So I remained in a deep coma for 3 weeks. And when I slowly came out of the coma, I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't control. My body was so, my brain was so damaged it couldn't even control its own temperature.
Wow.
And
And you
bladder
couldn't
control.
tell what you couldn't say you're hungry or thirsty or anything, and the doctors told your mom that you were going to be a vegetable.
Basically, they said this is the way it could be forever.
Wow.
Well, that was the
That
original prognosis was, expect death or life in a vegetative stage.
Wow.
I really wish, and is your mom still with us? Is your mom still?
Yes, she
I
is.
really wish your mom could have been on the show, because I would love to like refer to her and say, oh my God, like, what did it feel like?
We could do that. We'll do that
Yes.
next time. We'll
I can't
book
even,
another show.
I can't even comprehend it. I can't even put myself in that place. I don't even want to put myself in that place.
Yeah.
Devastating.
So
Devastating.
she was so strong. She was so strong. She basically said to the doctors and nurses, "You don't know my daughter. She's strong."
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
she
so
refused to have anything to do with those organ donation forms, or
good. Oh, good.
Good.
not going there.
Glad to
She's
hear
gonna
that.
live.
Good. Okay, so where are we going now? Like you
Yeah,
were in a coma. So what happened after?
So on the same night that I had my accident, there was another young man named Timothy Yeates. His was spelt differently, pronounced the same last name, and he also had a motorbike accident, and we were really on par throughout the journey. We were in the same room, we were in beds next to each other. When they moved us into critical care, we went together.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Tim died. And on the day that they buried Tim, I opened my eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my
On the
gosh.
7th of July, 1987, I opened my eyes. And
who was with you when you opened your eyes?
Mum.
Good.
Yes. She'd been putting, she's a bit of a rebel, my mum. She was putting Bach flower rescue remedy under my tongue.
What was she putting under your tongue?
Bach flower rescue remedy. It's a herbal supplement, a liquid herbal supplement, which is good for bruising and swelling and things like that. And she'd been doing that for the few days before I started to come out of my coma.
Wow.
And yes, she didn't tell the doctors she was doing that. She's just mother's instinct. Yeah.
Do you really ask the doctor if just, it's your daughter?
So initially, that there was nothing. There was no cognition. There was nothing from me.
But you opened your eyes.
But I opened my eyes, and Mum and everyone who was visiting, pretty much, they were really into stimulating me, whether it was music, talking to me, reading to me, exercise, doing limb exercises for me, that sort of thing. So they continued to do that, and Mum really tried to get some sign, some response from me, and I started to respond through, either nodding head or blinking eyes or
squeezing her hand.
Well, I couldn't. I was paralyzed from the neck down. So that was the initial, so it was blinking eyes. That was the initial sort of, yes, she has got some cognition there. She does understand what we're saying.
Did you comprehend what they were saying? Like, do you remember comprehending what they're saying?
I don't. I mean, the death experience is the last thing I remember. Then I went to sleep for a few weeks, and then I was sort of semi-conscious for another couple of weeks. And yeah, but from when I woke up to when I got out of hospital was only about a monmonth.
Wow.
So
incredible.
The rate of my recovery was it was so unusual that the doctors were afraid I would have a stroke because I was going so fast.
So they must have given you something, Nicole, to make you sleep, to rest your brain.
No, it was
No?
no. No, they just kept me on oxygen, and that was quite a new thing back then, 33 years ago, before they really knew much about neuroplasticity and all the rest. They had me on oxygen from when I was admitted right through to when I was actually upright and able to stand, and left hospital though. So that was quite a new thing they were trialing. So I think that might have helped.
Nicole, are you saying that you were able to stand when you left the hospital, and did you go to rehab?
Rehab started as soon as I was in hospital. Like in New Zealand, they're very fortunate with their insurance system over there. It's a Commonwealth insurance system, taxpayer funded, that it doesn't matter whether you have an accident on the road, an accident at work, and an accident in someone's backyard. It's all covered by the same system, and it's a no-fault system. So you don't have to wait to sue anybody or wait for an approval process. It starts right there and then. So my rehab happened while I was in a coma and in hospital. When I came out of the coma, physiotherapy, hydrotherapy. When I got out of hospital, there was speech therapy, occupational therapy, hydrotherapy, physiotherapy, psychology counseling, massage therapy. There was a lot.
So did you have to go to a rehab center?
No, it was all done on outpatient.
This was from home?
Mum would take me to the different office spaces or the different businesses. Yeah. But I walked out of hospital. I limped. So, I mean, not on my own, but I was able to walk upright with support.
Do you all believe in acupuncture?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Is it part of the recovery process?
I tried acupuncture for different things. Like I've also got endometriosis, and I've tried acupuncture for the muscle tightness that I get in my back because of the injury. That's great, but not so much in that early recovery stage. There was, so I guess bigger fish to fry at that stage. So we tried lots of different things. I mean, we even went to a crystal healing thing, spiritual healers.
Yeah, I mean, I work with a woman named Janet, and she puts what does she put on her? Oh gosh, it's metal or something, stones or something. She puts all over her body.
Quartz crystals.
Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. But my point is that there's so many natural remedies from ancient times that really do help in the process. It's not like you didn't have to go to the hospital, you don't have to do, but it really does help the whole process streamline and really helps you to recover.
Yeah, look, I think a combination of all of the different modalities is best, really. I also did, like study. They were trialing, because computers were very new back then as well. And, so they sent me to a computer course to help with memory and concentration and so forth. And that really helped. I did, in my last year of high school, I did a psychology course at night school. And that taught me about memory, understanding what short-term memory is, long-term memory is, working memory is, and mnemonics to help with memory retention and things like that. So at 17, I was using those psychology kind of tips, tricks, and strategies
for yourself
right from there. So really helping get that neuroplastic response going. And
what's neuroplastic response?
Neuroplasticity is, back then in 1987, they believed that when a brain cell was dead, it was dead, and that was the end of the story. And you had 2 years. That's what I was told. You've got 2 years to get as good as you're going to get. And after 2 years, that's it. No more healing.
I never believe anything like that.
Oh, they know better now. They know much
Yeah,
better
I know.
now.
But even when they said something like that about my dad's stroke, they
Yeah.
said he's going to die. You know, there's nothing I can do. I said, yeah, there is something I can do. I could fire you.
Good
As
on
people
you.
say something negative, I will. There's always another way, and I
Yes,
always
yes,
believe in
sure.
hope.
So now they've got strong evidence that, you know, if an area of your brain does die, that if you give your brain the right input, it can make new connections and develop new pathways, and you can regain those functions. So when I woke up, I couldn't talk, I couldn't walk, I couldn't see even. And, you know, slowly with the input that my professionals were giving me at that stage, you know, new pathways started to grow. And even 15 years after my injury, when I went to university, my brain still was improving because I was giving it different input.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Our brain, I mean, like I said, I mean, what year did you have your accident in?
1987.
19, oh, and I had mine in 1988.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Wait, 1988? No, 1989.
Okay. Yeah.
My daughter was born in 88 and I had my stroke in 89. When was yours?
87.
87. So it was 2 years prior to me.
Around the same
So,
time.
so I'm just trying to because I didn't get all the extra, um, acupuncture and those added help,
Yeah.
those added things that we're talking about. So I just wanted to see our timeline, but our timeline was really very close. You
Very
were just on the other side of the world and I was here. I
Yeah.
actually had to, I also believe in God and, had that out of body experience. So I know that God had me on this path and this journey to keep learning. And I always say, I had the best job in the world. And God said, no, we want you to leave that job. And we want you to get this job over here so that you could continue to grow,
Yeah.
to grow. So, it's very interesting. So you were 16 when it happened. You were 17 when, you were in the hospital for 1 month, and then how long was your rehab?
I was in hospital for a couple of months.
Okay.
Yeah, so my accident happened on the 19th of June, 1987, and I got out of hospital around the first week of September.
Okay. Okay.
And
you were in the
yeah,
hospital
so
for a while.
yeah, so rehab was ongoing for a couple of years.
Okay. Okay. And what were you doing? Were you only doing rehab at that particular time, or were you starting to engage in going to college and all that?
Yeah, look, I had a wonderful school as well. And so towards the end of that year, 1987, I started going back to just one class a week. So one class a week, that just sort of got me back into a social environment and helped my friends and other students to, I guess, get used to the new Nicole. And then the holidays happened and we came to Australia because my uncle was a special needs teacher. So he basically offered to take me into a special needs class, and so I could get more full-time rehab rather than the part-time rehab I'd been getting in New Zealand.
Right.
So we did that, and then 1988, the start of the school term, I went back to high school to repeat my year. And I did a reduced workload, so I did 4 subjects instead of 5.
But I can't even and how was your mom feeling during this time? Like, to see the recovery of her daughter who they counted out back in the hospital.
That's right.
What was
It
her feeling?
was still really hard because I was a completely different person. I didn't remember when Mum brought me home for the very first time. We were on the bus because she didn't have a car, so we were on the bus going home, and I started going on about this yellow light, and Mum thought I was talking about traffic lights, but I was talking about the yellow light when I died. She's like,
Right.
there are no yellow traffic lights, Nicole.
Right.
And I'm like, no, Mum, the yellow light when I died. And she was like, okay, got my attention now. And that's when I told her. At that stage, I didn't remember that the man that I saw was my father. And so she started asking me about that experience, and then we got home, and I didn't remember where we lived. I didn't, with the clothes in my wardrobe, I'm like, whose are those clothes?
Oh, wow.
I'd gone from this quite shy sort of teenager, the sort of girl that would go to a party and stick with her friends because I didn't have the confidence to talk to people I didn't know. You know, I was quite shy. I went from that to this outgoing, say whatever came to my mind kind of person.
I love it.
Quite embarrassing because I had no filter. I mean, literally, I had to learn about social cues and everything right from scratch.
Wow. Wow.
So it was really hard for Mum, you know.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I
had
just try to
disabilities.
say it again. Say it again.
I had all these just new disabilities. You know, as I said, I had to learn everything all over again. She had to force feed me for a year because it took that long for my brain to actually switch on that I was hungry. I was just never hungry, so I never wanted to eat.
Wow. Wow.
You know, so there was a lot of struggles. I couldn't bend down to the ground, so she had to, you know, sort of lift me in and out of the bath, and yeah, it was really hard. And in fact, it was so hard, she went to she went to a nunnery for a retreat to really try to learn to accept this new daughter.
And let me, I don't, you can answer this if you want. But in our understanding, and actually with myself as well, when I had my stroke, like, your mom's taking care of you, your dad passed away. How did she juggle it? Did she work? How did she not work anymore? Like who pays the bills? I mean, that's our fight with insurance in this country. Is like the person that had the stroke or brain injury, it's not only them, it's the family around them that goes through this trauma, so if you could share that. I mean, if you can't, if it's private information, please don't.
No, that's fine. No, so Mum, well, we're in a fairly unusual situation in many ways, but because Mum was Australian and she was in New Zealand, Dad had died, and she wasn't entitled to any single mother's benefit or anything like that. So she had to work 2 or 3 jobs to bring me up. And the year that I had my accident, she'd started to study to be a registered nurse.
Wow.
So she'd been there 10 years. That's the time. She was not entitled to anything from the government until she'd been there 10 years. So when I was 15, she was able to get the widow's benefit. And,
Thank God.
So she started a study thanks to being able to have the widow's benefit and work part-time while she studied full-time. So she had to give up her study to care for me.
So she went to school for nursing to actually take care of you, not to...
No, she started the course before my accident.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, if you think about the way that God plans things.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
She was studying. She thought she was studying to help other people. So
That's true.
that it was going to be right in her home,
Yes. Yes, she got first-hand experience. Indeed.
Yeah. She was very good at it because, most nurses are spiritual. They can't bring it to the forefront, but I know a lot of nurses that actually do Reiki, on their patients.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with it. They just want to bring natural healing to the people. So I know that, she was in that world.
Yes, absolutely. So she started her nursing course again the following year, and she went on to work as a registered nurse, and She's retired now and she's in hospital at the moment, but
Why is she in the hospital?
unfortunately she was diagnosed with terminal cancer a few years ago, and she's kind of in the last stage of treatment now.
Well, tell her we're praying for her, and
We'll
Thank
definitely
you.
pray for her.
yeah.
Thank you.
Do you,
What's your mom's first name?
Veronica.
Veronica, how
We'll
old is
pray
she?
for her.
How
Thank
old
you.
is your mom?
She's 72.
She's young. She's very young.
Oh, she's really young.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, she's very with it. I mean, she was a young mum, and she's always, you know, we're more like sisters than mother and daughter. We sort of swap roles every now and again, and
Especially now.
I get a
Yes.
question for you. Since you've had this out of body experience, do you believe that there is life on the other side, and that
Oh, yes.
that you know, I mean, I'll tell you my feeling after you get done telling me yours. Do you believe that there's a grander place for your mom to go when she passes?
Absolutely. Look, I was brought up in Catholic education, but I was always, you know, I kind of went along with the flow, but was kind of on the fence really, until I had that near-death experience. And now, I mean, I was told things when I was on the other side that conflicted with my Catholic education.
Such as, can you share some of those?
Yeah, he told me that churches were never a part of the plan, that, you know, sort of you don't have to go to church to, you know, basically you don't have to go to church. What the core thing is about being a good person.
And love.
That's all that
Right.
matters.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's obviously, that conflicted with my Catholic upbringing, where you're supposed to go to church every week and da 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 da. So,
Right.
I was quite happy to hear that, to be honest.
Well, you know, I always believe that. I mean, once again, I was brought up as Catholic as well. But as much as I am a Catholic, I'm also very spiritual and universal. I think it doesn't matter what faith you are,
Yes.
as long as you're a good person, as long as you love each other, as long as you're kind to one another. And it is important to be connected to something. And whether it's a church or the Red Cross or a foundation or something, because you have to give service. Like Judy is a part of the Rotary, right, Judy?
Yeah.
Rotary.
Yeah.
They do the state, like, so I think it's really important to be connected to something that you're doing good work. And a church is one of those avenues that is a part of that, you know. So that's my feeling on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I don't have the feeling like, although I went to the other side, you know, you'll notice I'm reluctant to sort of say God, or because I think that it's a spiritual being that's for everybody. And, you know, whether you call them Jehovah or God,
higher
or
power,
higher power,
self-power. Yeah.
Yes, like you, very spiritual in that, you know, it's just about being a good person. And
we're all people, we're all connected. And this pandemic has really, if any time, has brought that to life, that we're so united in the entire world, and we're told to stay within our own realms, but yet we're all connected and we're all working to do the same thing. I mean, it doesn't matter, you know, what color you are, what faith you are, what, you know, what size you are, what sexual preference you have. None of that matters. None of that matters. Just be kind to one another, be empathetic, and listen to people, you know, and just for sure. The world really needs that right now. Really. So 100%. Tell us a little bit. I'm looking at your book. I've been looking at your book, and we'll go back to talk a little more. But tell us a little bit about your book, Holding On to Hope.
So Holding On to Hope, Finding the New You After Traumatic Brain Injury, was something that I've been, how many times over the year I've been told, you know, Nicole, you should write a book. If I had a cent for every time that you said, I would pay my house off much earlier. But So this last year, because of Mum's health condition, we lived together, and I guess it was in my face a little bit more that I was running out of time to tell my story, because I've got amnesia about the year or two before and after my accident, and I needed her to be able to write the story.
Right.
So it was about this time last year that I decided to just do a big brain dump of everything I could remember. And then I asked Mum to do the same. And I started writing my story. And then through that process, I was researching different things, and I thought, you know, look, I've been using just my Outlook calendar and for memory strategies to keep me on track professionally and personal life and so forth. But when I read through the Facebook brain injury groups, you know, this memory issue was a huge thing. And I thought there's got to be something better out there than an Outlook calendar to manage memory. And so that's where the idea to develop the app came from. So, oops, gosh,
Judy's got it.
I've done it. Here we go. So, oh, yep, you've got it. Excellent.
Show it, Judy. That's it. So what does the app do?
So the Rethink app, it's spelt Rethink, but pronounced Rethink. So what it does, basically, it's an organizational tool, and it's also a memory boosting tool. So there's a couple of games on there. There's a memory game, and there's a spatial awareness problem solving game. There's a blog on there for brain education, rehab education, health articles. And it's also a tool if you're a person with a brain injury who needs a support worker or a carer to take you to appointments and so forth. There's a facility within the app to actually invite your carer or support worker to the app, and you can invite them into your appointments then via the app. And so you can both see what you've got on any one day. And the app also has 10 levels. So starting from level 1, which is a rookie, through to level 10, which is your big kahuna.
What's the difference between each?
So basically, it's a way of actually moving up the levels. So I'm just going to show you mine there. You can see here that, you know, for my event scheduling, so that's tasks and appointments,
right,
I've only got about 200 points to go to get to the next level. And on my brain training games, you know, it's around the same. And I've already reached, with the articles I've read, I've already reached, you know, I've done that. So I've only got to go get a bit more on these 2 levels to be able to move up to level 4.
Okay, that's
so
awesome.
Yeah. So there's my appointments for today. You can see stroke of luck's in there.
It's 8:30 right here, right now.
And look, there's some articles on, you know, so the rehab things that are going to help. And then very lastly, we've got the buddies. So you can invite your buddies, which is, you know, support workers, carers, whoever you want, and they can then see how you're tracking as well against the different levels and can encourage you, and you know, you can invite them to your appointments. And yeah.
So did you develop this, or did you work with somebody to develop it?
So I'm the ideas girl. So
you had the vision for it. You had the
yes,
vision.
that was my vision, but I'm certainly not the technical girl. So I hired an app development company called Lizard Global, and I've been working with them over the last 4 months to basically bring this to life, and it's now available on the App Store and Google Play.
Wow, that's so exciting.
That's great.
I'm going to download it to look at it.
Yeah, it's absolutely free, and yeah, so far the feedback has been fantastic. People are loving it, and the games are really a bit addictive as well.
So how do you and I'm sure Judy will hop on this in 2 seconds, because we're actually having this big conference on May 2nd with
Yeah.
with doctors and everybody. You're more than welcome to join us, except it's 10 o'clock in the morning here, 9 o'clock in the morning here. So I don't know what time it is there.
Okay. 10 o'clock in the morning there. I'll figure that
9
out.
o'clock.
No,
Judy-
9.
9 o'clock. Judy will share with you. And
Okay.
really, it's so important that you're a part of this, because I will give you the opportunity to share your vision about this, and not only that, but we'll add you to the promo, and all the
Wow.
doctors and all the brain surgeons and everybody will get that.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yes. I mean,
I'm just worried it's going to be the middle of the night for Nicole.
That's all right. That sounds like an amazing opportunity. That's all right.
I mean, Nicole, it's so big. I mean, it's so big that because this app really needs to get into be known to doctors. Wait until Dr. Beculus sees it. Dr. Beculus is
He's a neurosurgeon.
Yes, a neurosurgeon in Long Island, but he is such on the cutting edge of things. Like, and we're gonna send it to him prior so that he can take, so he'll know what we're talking about. He is gonna love it. He's gonna love it. And then we want to help you to promote it around the country in America. So
that would be amazing. Yeah.
Any way we can help you, we're in, you know.
You're going to get worldwide coverage on this.
Woo! Look, I want to help as many people as possible to reach their highest potential. And that's the whole aim of this.
Yes. You know, that was I always tell people, and this is like the discussion I have with people that have had brain injuries or strokes, is, you know, it's hard to, I had a stroke, so I understand it, but when doctors or parents or loved ones talk to somebody that has a stroke and they know what they need to do to accomplish it, but our brain, as a brain injury or as a brain trauma, we can't comprehend that. We don't get that. We don't understand that. And you would understand that better than anybody. Like, how did you, and I'm trying to build that bridge to help the doctors and the loved ones and the families understand how to navigate someone that had a brain injury, because it must be very, very frustrating to them, you know. And I'll give you an example. Like when I was an ambassador for strokes in a hospital, they love the fact that I could go into a room, and because I'm a stroke survivor, I could say to them, listen, you know, or I didn't want to do it when they were in the hospital, but, you know, when I was visiting nursing homes or something, you know, you're the one that has to do it. As much as you'll have the loved ones around you, the support around you, we have to do the work. Nobody can do the work for us. We have to do the work. Absolutely. And you kind of had that inner drive, like me, to get there. But there's a lot of people in the world that haven't had the out-of-body experience, don't have that inner glow, that drive to get them to where we are today. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we get them to come along with us? How do we do that, Nicole?
Look, I do that every day in my occupational rehabilitation work. You know, well, not every day, but I often meet people who sit in front of me and tell me that they'll never be able to work again.
Right, which is
unusual.
The first thing wrong.
You're talking to the wrong person. But what I do is basically small steps of success. You know, I've assisted lots of people who have been exactly that person who said, no, I can't, I'll never be able to work again. And just through small steps of success and working from a strengths-based perspective, so I work with what they've got. Everybody has some strength, you know, whether it be knitting or their people skills or whatever, and work with that strength to build on it. That then builds confidence. And, you know, one step of success can lead to another step of success.
Right.
So that's really how the way that I work in my practice.
And it's almost like riding a bike, right?
Mm.
Because when you ride a bike, you know how to ride it. You just have to relearn how to ride it. You know, you just have to get back on. Whether you fall or not, it doesn't matter. You got to keep getting back on that bike.
That's right. And when you go to the physiotherapist or the psychologist or the neurosurgeon or whoever your treatment team is, that treatment doesn't stop when you walk out their door. You have got to do it always, you know, when you're at home, you've got to do the exercises, you've got to do the things they recommend. Basically, that's the most important part. That, you know, the health
They're just showing you how to do it, but if you don't do it yourself, you won't get better.
That's right. That's right. It doesn't stop when you walk out their door. That's when it starts.
I was looking for, I want to buy this book along with yours, because yours, did yours on audio by any chance?
Yes, it's on Scribed and Kobo.
I'd rather buy an audio because it's easier for me to listen rather than read. So, but there's another book called The Miracle Mentality.
Yes.
And it talks about building that team around you, like Judy always says, and you believe, Nicole, like positivity. You have to surround yourself with positivity all the time, the time. And I'm sure in you're holding your book, you speak of those positivities. Well, how do you get hope out of your book, Nicole? Where do you get hope out of reading your book?
So my book is, although it's framed in my story of what happened to me, it actually is also written with my allied health professional hat on. And at the end of each chapter, I've got strategies, tools, resources to basically help. And in the last chapter of the book, chapter 12, goes into a lot more detail about memory strategies, about building that positive network around you, how to do it. So I've got lots of self-help steps in the book, because I'm a really big believer in basically you've got to self-help. You can't leave it to the professionals only. They're a piece of the puzzle, but it's got to come from you.
And you have proved that miracles do happen.
Oh my God.
You fought to get better.
Yes.
And your mother also had positive feelings. She's going to get better. She's going to recover. And
it's
motivated. You have to be motivated.
Oh, look, I mean, people look at me today, and to look at me now, you know, you wouldn't know that I had a traumatic brain injury, and I'm very fortunate for that. But I still have to work every single day to, you know, put those strategies in place to make sure that my life doesn't turn into one big chaos.
Do you have any pain from what happened in the past? Do you have any pain?
Yeah, I've got back pain. Yep, back pain and is the biggest thing. Yeah.
But you don't put any energy into it, right?
No, it didn't stop me. I did Pilates this morning. I did, you know, yoga yesterday. I'll go for a walk later this afternoon along and take the dogs for a walk, you know. It's I'm going to do yoga or Pilates about 4 times a week, and that helps with my back.
It's good for the mind too. It's very good for the mind, Pilates. It keeps you centered, you know.
Yeah, and meditation.
I know that's, you know, my biggest thing. I can't get tired. Like, you know, when I get too tired, that's when I start feeling weak. I start dragging my leg. I start, I can't process or think very well, you know.
Yes, when you get really tired. And
yes, I have to rest. I have to rest. That's the most important thing, you know, for me.
Same here. You know, I've still got some left side paralysis in different areas of my body, but it's only really obvious when I'm tired, and that's when my limp, walk with a limp a bit more, and I'll fall to the left, that sort of thing. But, you know, generally it doesn't stop me.
No, I mean, I just went right back in, you know. But the what was I gonna say something before. You know, when you're helping people in your job, Do you also coach the loved ones, the parents, and how to navigate to support them? Because that really is a big tool. Like, because they want to, sometimes they want to love us so much that they do everything for us and they don't allow us the
And they
time.
need to take a break too.
Right, because we just
Yeah.
had guests on our last show, I think it was our last show, who's also going to be on this May 2nd conference. And I loved, and I picked up on it like immediately. Her husband just sat there and let her struggle to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, I watched that one. Yes, that was
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes, and then he would say to her, "Do you want me to help you?" And she would answer yes or no. So
Yeah.
that she knew she had the freedom in
Mm.
her brain to try to communicate.
Yes.
Communicate.
Yes.
You know, because I know, like, when we've had guests on our shows and they kind of get like nervous because they can't think of what they want to say, and then that nerves gets them more riled up, and we just say relax, you know, like just take a deep breath, think about it. So do you train the parents as well?
Yeah, look, not so much in my occupational rehab work. I'm more dealing with adults that are pretty functional. They've got everything from PTSD. They've come back from Afghanistan with PTSD, or they're a truck driver with a back injury or knee injury, or they've got anxiety and depression from bullying and harassment, and everything in between. So the work that I'm doing now that's specifically in the brain injury space is, still a new business for me. I've got my 33 years of lived experience with it, but it's still growing, so that's potentially something that I could do in the future. It's not something I'm doing right now. So my right now is about providing, solutions and tools and resources to help people reach their highest potential. That's the biggest driver of holding on to hope for business. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment. But I've got, as I said, the 33 years of experience living with a brain injury, and I still get aphasia sometimes. And I've learnt to actually bring the other person into the conversation to hide it in a way. So I'll turn it into a bit of a game. Oh, that word, it starts with da da da, and it means this. Can you think of what that is? And
That's good.
Because that's just tools that you have in your toolbox.
That's right.
Not to feel defeated. You just say, well, if I can't think of it, let me just ask, and let me ask for help. Let me make a conversation about it. That's the twist in what you have in your tool belt, right?
Yeah.
So that because one of the other things we spoke about on one of my shows, and I have no idea which one it was, we spoke about when you go back to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now people look at you differently, right? They're questioning whether you have the right mindset to be able to work, and what's going on in your mind. Like, they don't know anymore. So we got to work our tool belt. And the other thing I learned, and I know you'll understand this, is you have to believe in yourself, right?
Yes.
You can't feel sorry for yourself in the forefront of life, right? Because if you don't appear to believe in yourself and you don't believe in yourself, then you're not going to be successful. And I'm not saying successful winning.
You're not going to be able to move forward.
Yeah, I'm not saying like be successful where you're the highest of highs, but like you say, to reach your own
highest potential
at that particular moment of your life.
That's it. We've got the choice to, I refer to it, I run a memory and mindset boosting webinar through my website. And basically I refer to the mentality as you can be a victim mentality or a pilot mentality. The victim will use adversity as an excuse not to try. The pilot sets the destination and sets the course to actually get to that goal.
Right.
And will use adversity as fuel
to
get to that next destination.
Right.
Mm.
Well, Nicole, I mean, we've been on for an hour. I don't know if you could believe that, but it's
Wow.
just, I know we've just been like chatting, like, we just met. Well, Judy will tell you that you're so happy you're part of our family now. And
Thank you.
we're really excited that you're going to join us on May 2nd, because that is going to rock the world. The May
Nicole,
2nd.
you're gonna have to let me know what time it is your time.
Yes, I will.
We're talking May 2nd
Yep. All righty.
at 9 in the morning, which
Okay.
actually we get on about 10 or 15 minutes earlier than that.
Okay.
And Dr. Beckleyus is going to be on early.
Yeah.
I don't want you to miss him.
Yeah.
No, fantastic. All right. I will work it out and I'll email
Let
you
me
and let you know.
And so, you know, we always say that the conversation isn't ending. This is only the beginning of us helping each other. You know, we'll help you in any way we can, Nicole, to bring your
Thank you.
information to the world. It's so, this platform just really blows me away that, you know, you could be in Australia and we could be in America and we could be chatting and really connecting to help the world. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
Nicole, you're in Australia. Renee is in New Jersey and I'm in New York.
Oh, all right. God bless technology.
it's incredible.
And
So-
Judy, I'll send you the flyer for the professional flyer that I've got too for the Rethink
Yeah,
app.
and
So
I'll
you can
make
pass
sure
it on
the
as well.
world sees it.
Yeah, we'll create an e-blast with your app on it, and we'll send it out to everybody. And
Thank
really,
you.
it's really important stuff. Really important to get that message out to everybody.
Yeah, well, look, I really believe that this app has got the potential to change lives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it gives a brain injury person a place to focus, right? Because it's
Empowerment, you know,
it's all about, okay, it's on here, I'm focusing, right?
Yeah.
I like that's one simple little tool that you could focus on your phone with the app, because sometimes we get lost in what do we do next, you know?
That's right. And as you were saying before about enablers, sometimes, you know, the people around, enablers can be a wonderful thing, but they can also be a negative thing.
Yeah.
They drag down.
Yeah.
And if you're relying on other people to manage your appointments and tasks and things like that, you're losing empowerment. This facility gives you the ability to reclaim your empowerment and actually have control.
Definitely.
You know, so yeah.
And it's good
really
because you could invite, like you would invite your mom in so that she could make sure, like just oversee to make sure of what's going on. Can you
Well,
do that?
in our case, you know, because if she's talking to a doctor and trying to make an appointment, if we're linked on this app, she can see what appointments I've got for the week coming up, and oh, well,
Right.
okay, Nicole's free here, so we can schedule it in there.
Right.
Right. That's such a great app. We're so proud of you and we're so happy to have connected. Thank you so much, Judy, for, you know, finding
Yes, thank you,
Nicole
Judy.
and bringing us all
You're
together.
welcome.
And we're honored. Nicole, we always want to give our special guests the opportunity to share at the last, you know, what you want the message to be for the closing of the show.
Okay, yeah, well, as I said, my goal is to help as many people as possible to reach their highest potential after a brain injury. So if you go to my website, which is www.holdingontohope.com.au, you'll see all the tools and resources available to help you do that.
Good.
And show them your book up close.
My book, yes, my book,
Oh
which
my
is
God. Holding on to hope, finding the new you after a traumatic brain injury. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what though, we're every day we're new, right? Whether you have a brain injury or you're having an experience in life, we all should look at it like it's new. We're a new, we have hope in front of us, which is a
A new day. It's like today it reached, the book was number 27 in America and number 17 here in Australia.
Wow.
And yeah, it's really exciting. It's a couple of months post publication now, so yeah, available on Amazon, also available on Goodreads and Dimmix, and yes. And the audio, as I said, the audio is available on Scribe, Kobo, Apple.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy the audio. So that I could listen to it while I'm driving around.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Renee. It's been wonderful to meet you.
Yes, hang
now
on.
I got to go to Australia to see you.
Yay!
That might be my next vacation.
So let's blow. We always blow kisses, and then if you could shut your cameras off, and then when I close out, you could close out. But I'll let you know.
I just want to say one thing. We're going to be praying for your mom.
Yes.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you.
And I'll be talking to you shortly.
Yes, perfect.
So on 3, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. It was really an incredible show. Nicole's story does bring hope to everybody that there is miracles happen every single day, and you have to be open for them, and you have to be aware of them, and you have to acknowledge them, and really and they're not big, they're little winks as you're going through your days, like Nicole when she had her accident, and the gentleman that came out of his car happened to be a nurse. So those types of, and he had oxygen in his car. Those types of things are little they're miracles that you need to be aware of. So stop and see the miracles in your day every day. It's incredible. So thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Judy. Here we go. On 3, we're gonna blow our kisses. 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody.
God bless you all.
Bye-bye.
Tú me haces nadie. ¿Sabes qué pasó en mi vida? Yo no sé qué tú piensas. Yo no sé lo que haré. Yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo. Yo no sé lo que va a pasar. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. El día que caminaste por la puerta, todas las memorias fueron. Mi corazón está vacío, como si tuviera ayer. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. Usted está en mi sueño por la noche. Por favor, no peleemos. Y es tan difícil para mí y para ti. Yo, ¿qué puedo hacer? No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. No me puedes escuchar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír